What's good, people? Welcome to another episode of the Realist Debates with myself, the Realist One, the Realist J, and
Joey Lang.
Yes, and today, boy, what are we going to talk about, Joey?
Adaptability.
Today's show is going to be about adaptability, and boy, it's a topic that a lot of people won't even realize is going on, literally. On a day-to-day basis. And the angle that we're trying to look at it from is obviously yourself and I have got a bit of history. So yeah, people or who we were before compared to who we are now is literally black and white. So yeah, we've obviously gone through a transitional stage ourselves. So yeah, that's what we're trying to talk about today.
Yeah, and do you know what? This is something that I never really used to think about, like growing up. Like I adapted over the years, but I didn't really put much thought into it until probably last year, because I do mentoring with kids, and we put workshops on for them. So for one of them, we had to, all the mentors had to basically talk about their lives. So I had to kind of look back at the baby photos, me back in school, this, that, the other. Had a dead afro back then, I can't even lie. little nappy afro still. But anyways, so looking through all of those and then thinking, well, I used to do this back then. Like, raw.
Thinking, how are you going to tell the youth them?
Yeah, and then put a positive spin at the end of it as well. So that was a bit of an eye-opener, seeing how I've adapted so much, because when I was like a kid growing up, I was a little neek. Like, I remember even way back when I was a kid playing in the garden, like on a Sunday, mum and I all cooking.
And it's mad when you look back at yourself as well and think, rah, did I used to do that? Like,
yeah,
that's a bit...
literally. And I remember in the garden, I must have killed a bee by accident. Must have stood on it or something like that. But I remember like barling, holding it, running back to my mum and that, saying, oh, mum.
Digging a little hole in the back.
Yeah, saying, mum, I'm a murderer. She's like, what are you talking about? Mum, I killed a bee. She's looking at me like, dickhead. But she's like, oh yeah, listen, just go give it a funeral, go bury it. And I was like, okay. So that used to be like that. Used to be a nice little chap. And what changed? School. School, mixing in with other people, because for some reason I started school a little bit late.
Yeah.
So what was it? Was it reception where you first start in primary school?
I don't even remember back then, you know. I think, yeah, it's reception, then it goes into
year one and that. Yeah. So I think I started there like the back end of the year. But I was kind of quiet, kind of kept myself to myself because I'm an only child as well. Okay. So I like my solitude. I'm a little bit introverted like that. Okay. So I only had like a little small pocket of friends. But I remember, so my mum's calling me now as well. Madman, I have to tell her.
Mum, we're filming.
Yeah, mum, we're filming. Call her back. What was I saying?
So being a bit introverted.
Yeah. So being a little bit introverted, sorry. School. So yeah, kind of only had like a small pocket of friends. But I was just that kid that used to love learning, this, that, the other, just a little happy kid. But then I remember these three youths, like some older boys, just randomly started sticking it on me. Hard, no reason.
Maybe in school, yeah?
Yeah. Listen, they were bullying me. Let's call it what it is. I was getting bullied out there. And I remember at first kind of going to like the teachers, nothing really happened, going to my mum, trying to have something sorted out. Nothing really happened. And I thought, okay, I've got to start thinking outside the box now. I've gone down the right route. Nothing's really happened. Let me see if I can kind of go down a different way. So I remember one of the like older youths in the school, you know, there was always that, the strongest guy in school.
That one that people feared.
Yeah. So I must have went to him like, yeah, listen, I need help, man. I need help. Like they won't leave me alone. And he was like nah, like jog on basically. And I remember
this is all character building as well.
Listen, this one here built me, and I never remember this story until I had to put this presentation together to put on for the kids. Because beforehand you had to like plan what you're going to talk about, this, that, the other, and you had to kind of make it lead into a story type of thing. So I had to do a lot of thinking about but why was I like this? And I had to really think back, and it brought me back to this story. So after that, I remember one time, literally they were sticking it on me again, and I just flipped. Just thought, fuck it, you know what? Just went into berserker mode. Literally threw a fence, like was whacking up another. The other one was like, whoa. Like, you know, when you see it on TV and that, and like that nerd just flips out.
So you went from burying bees in your back garden to spazzing out on man in school.
From bees to berserker bee.
And that's one mad transition in itself.
Yeah. Do you know the mad thing is? Like the reaction, because what I thought would have happened was, I've started some little playground war here, you know. I can't even play tag out here safe. But they rated me after that. And then I started rolling with them. And then I was getting ratings off of that. So I thought, okay, cool.
This is now how I need to behave.
Okay, that's how you got to react to those type of situations. So if someone shows some form of aggression to you, you just show it back, but you amplify it. Like that's how I thought. But because obviously this is primary, nothing's really too bad is going on. Everyone's just playing kiss chase, this, that, the other. But do you know what changed? When I went to secondary school.
Okay, so you've gone through 2 transitions already. Go on.
Yeah, because the secondary school I wanted to go to, and everyone that I knew in the area went to, was literally up the road from my grandma's.
Okay.
So naturally I wanted to go there, but my mum was saying, nah, that's a bad school. That's a bad school. So I had to go somewhere like the other end of the borough. Knew no one. Literally knew no one there. Shifted. I was like, I'm out here. I'm in a foreign land. And with me as well, where I'm an only child, but also I got a big family, but not a lot of them are in this country.
Okay.
So, you know, you'd always have bare people that would have them older sisters, cousins, brothers.
Get them to back you.
All of this. I didn't have any of that. So obviously I'm starting a new school as well. I know like 2 people that transitioned over. One of them had a little bit of a mad thing with him beforehand, so it was a bit
on off.
Yeah. So it was a big transition, and the school that I was at, something was always cracking. Like playtime, in between classes, any break after school, it was always cracking. Like there was always fights. And I remember in my first year, something dumb must have happened. Very, very dumb in the playground.
So what, is this secondary now?
Yeah, it's secondary. So I'm still
so you're like year 7, 8 or whatever.
Yeah. I think I was in year 8 these times.
Okay.
I remember like one older kid must have been chatting. And I must have said like, "Sharp, I'll bang you up, man." Then he was just like, "What?" Then even I'm like, "Raw, why did I say that?" I'm like, "Yo, oh shit!" And I'm by myself as well. And he's with his like not his whole year, but bare people in his year, all the girls, this, that, and the other. And he's like, "What did you say?" And I had to just stay firm to it. So I thought, you know what? Just banged him.
What?
Just went in with one.
0 to 100, yeah?
I had to. Just literally.
Wait, like, from you said it, you had to back the talk.
Yeah, because all eyes were on me. Literally, like, I remember this.
But do you think that came from your past situation where obviously you felt intimidated to the day that you just spazzed out and flipped? You think now, going into this situation, that was the energy that you came with?
Yeah. It was just, I took that first situation when I was a little one and thought, okay, I just apply that moving forward. Just make sure that you always show more aggression than the other person.
Okay.
And you're good.
Yeah,
You're good. As long as you overpower their energy, can't go wrong. Like literally you can't. So then at that point, I remember literally like put his hood over his head and was
weighing, man,
yeah. And then again, off the back of that, I got in a little bit of trouble, but
there's a newfound respect.
I got ratings. So now man is saying, yo, you see Jay, nah, he's a little bit of a wild firecracker, you know? And it just went on and on and on and on. And then you get worse and worse and worse and worse. Until I was just fully on the roads. Like fully.
Okay.
And was doing that for like a few years, you know, just not really being a good product to society, basically. But then that obviously changed at some point because.
So what ages are we looking at now? So you've gone from the bee-berrying nerd to getting into primary and you got a bit of wind in your sails to secondary, you're just banging man up on the spot. So now we're on the roads, Joey's on the roads. Like, what ages were you now on the roads?
I was young.
With that energy?
Yeah, I was young. So I was doing this all from like probably 13, 14.
Sweet.
Yeah. But then when I start getting out of it, probably maybe about 18, 19. So I think I started getting to a point where it just became a decision of logic, where I started thinking, okay, I'm racking up bare crime. Cool, I'm getting status, CV, whatever you want to call it. But what's my bank account saying? It's up and down, it's sporadic, sometime-ish. You know, I can't do the things that I want to do. Okay, I'm only 18, 19, but
you know what you're doing is holding you back.
Yeah. And then it comes to a point of, okay, let's say, for example, I go to jail for like 3 years. If I compare that to how much money legitimately I could have made in those 3 years, even if I'm just starting off, within those 3 years, I could probably make a decent size of money. Compare that to the crime I've done, where I'm sitting doing nothing, you know, and when you kind of go in, it all depends on your mindset at the time, whether you turn a corner or whether you go further in. Like I know bare man that have gone in and it's 50-50 on how they come out, you know?
Well, so that's something that we can definitely touch on. Boy, I mean, for me, you've gone through pretty much a similar transition to me. Like, you know, from primary, I just remember I got expelled from my first school, bro. My first school.
Primary?
Like, I think it was primary.
You got expelled from primary school?
Bro, Wembley Manor School.
How'd you do that?
Yeah. Do you want to know? I actually licked a kid off a rocking horse. Yeah, that's the story. I booted a kid off the rocking horse.
What? Your primary school had rocking horses? That's kind of lit though, but...
Time on that was precious, yeah. I think one youth was just overstepping the mark. And I said, yo, I need that rocking horse time, G. And I just booted him off still. And yeah, I just remember my mum having to come to the school. Yeah, I was expelled. So then I moved to another primary school, which was, just as bad. So for me, boy, I might as well just say I was an off one from the start, you know.
No bumblebees,
bro. There was no burying bees in my back garden.
Oh, man.
I was just a anti-kid from young, and I was the only child up until the age of like 15, 16 when my sister came. So yeah, not that I was spoiled, but I was just used to getting my own way. And then I think part of it for me is where I grew up. So I grew up in like St. Raph's, innit?
Okay.
St. Raph's Estate. Back in the day, it wasn't the best place, to be honest. And yeah, that a lot of stories can come from there. I just remember being a youth growing up on that estate, and it was literally a case of survival. Um, obviously, I had my little friends and stuff like that I used to play out with or whatever. I have little sleepovers here or there, but in that estate, it was like the younger kids were safe playing about, and then you could see the elders literally
doing their thing,
maneuvering, doing their thing. So as a younger, you know, you're seeing the elders driving certain cars and girls are hanging around them, and you get inquisitive. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, yeah, growing up in Rouse, it was a quick learn still, because you just saw everything happening literally in front of your face, from drug deals and crackheads and all of that. It was all happening. So even as a kid, like growing up, you were exposed to a lot at an early age. So I was probably mentally more mature than I was supposed to be, because I was seeing all sorts of stuff that wasn't even for people my age. Do you get what I mean?
But were you only seeing it from a distance, or were you kind of going up to them and talking to the oldest, this, that, the other, and they're like, "Yo, well, go on, little G"? Was it adapting, or
it was adapting? Eventually, it became adapting. So obviously, I was a bad little you, but even so, I think the oldest could see that as well, because I was known for like smashing windows, climbing over people's fences. I was that you, bro.
Yeah?
I was that you in
What?
St. Raph's, smashing windows, bloody playing 60 seconds outside people's house, volleying the ball on the door.
What age are we talking these times?
Like 11, 12.
Gee.
Yeah, so
no knockdown ginger and Raphs, just smash windows.
There was knockdown ginger, there was British Bulldog, there was all them games, but yeah, I
Kirby
was just anti still. I can't even explain still. But yeah, so then moving on, like going into the teenage years and that, you're seeing the elders still doing their thing, cars have upgraded a bit. So I'm like, yeah, like I want a bit of this. And yeah, I kind of, from there, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I kind of, like yourself, went into a road life, as it's called. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm definitely not proud of. Do you get what I mean? I've done things that I'm definitely not proud of, but all of that was like a growing process to me, because I was a fancy one as well. Like, with the badness, I wanted to show off. So I had chains, I had rings, I had Rolexes back in the day. Like, I had bikes.
So bare bottles in the club?
Bruv, I was that guy.
Okay.
Popping bottles, pouring them out. Do you know what I mean? Stupid behavior that you don't realize at the time is stupid behavior. So yeah, growing up, that was what I was about. And I remember kind of doing the road life and doing the badness and realizing, I'm catching up in bare madness, you know? And obviously, for me, I had to make a decision early, because I moved out my mum's house when I was 17.
Okay.
She didn't boot me out. That was a conscious choice that I made with the lifestyle that I was living. Because obviously then my sister had come along. She was just growing up, like 2 years old or whatever. So I was like, boy, I don't want no feds kicking off my mum's door. That's not for what I'm doing. Do you get what I'm saying?
So when you was at your mum's at the time, and kind of doing all this stuff, did she know? And kind of what was her thoughts?
She knew up to a certain aspect.
Okay.
And I was very good at hiding stuff. So she knew to a certain extent, and she didn't agree at all with the stuff that I was doing. But at the same time, a lot of how I was, like, I made it kind of to her that, you know, if you don't not let me get on with what I'm doing, but just kind of turn a blind eye to it, then I'll just go. Do you know what I mean? And my mum, you know, only son, didn't want to lose me, etc., etc. So I was a little bastard for that. But yeah, going into this whole road life and stuff, like, it was mad, you know, and it came to a point where I realized I was in so much madness that I had a choice to make. Like, I was either going to be dead or in jail. Like, those are the only two options. So although I was making money and stuff and living that life, popping bottles and chains and jewelries, cars and all that, it was a point where I remember literally, and this is the thing, like, I believe every man has that light bulb moment. Do you get what I'm saying? And mine came at about 24 still. So I don't know if that's late, whether that's early, but I remember I woke up one morning and I just said, fuck this shit, bruv. I literally said, fuck this shit. Like, I'd been in a passer like a few days before, got very sticky. And I just woke up that morning, I was like, fuck this. And do you know what I did? I literally I drove to Hatton, and I had a jeweler that I went to back in the day. I drove to Hatton, put all my shit, watches, chains, rings, everything in a bag, went to Hatton, and I just slapped it on the desk. I said, yo, I don't want this no more. How much are you going to give me for this?
Like that.
That was literally that day. And from there, like, obviously he gave me money for it and I walked out. And even just leaving Hatton Garden, bro, I could feel literally a weight had been lifted off my
evaporated,
chest.
yeah.
Because I knew with all that shine and stuff, man were watching me when I was out clubbing, thinking, how can I get at him? Or, do you know what I mean? And I don't want to be no one's lunch at the end of the day. So yeah, even just leaving Hatton, I just remember the weight that got lifted off my chest. But my twilight moment came at like 24, boy. And it was just like, yeah, I'm done with this shit, man.
So obviously that sounds picturesque. Man woke up, went to the jewelers, said, listen, take it. I don't want to live this life no more. This ain't for me, man. Like, but obviously the day after that and the week after that and the month after that, did you have any difficulties with adapting to going down a different path?
Brother, it was hard because all I really knew was the road life. Now, that's not to say I didn't have a job. I missed that part out. I got my first job at IKEA, which is basically in St. Raph's, when I was like 16. So they shouldn't even have gave me the job. I fucked up, wrote the application out, forged it, whatever.
Okay.
I got a job when I was 16. They weren't supposed to give it to me till I was 17.
Yeah, man, used to bleep that one out.
So yeah, ran that anyway. It's real. It's a long time ago. But yeah, so I was already like earning money legally and illegally and doing things that were beyond my age, really, because I wasn't supposed to have a job anyway. So it was hard when I just dropped the whole street life out and I literally had to be a 9-to-5 worker. And that's where, you know, life pretty much changed for me because that's when I had to learn to adapt. You know, I weren't just talking to man them on the road like, yo, brother, wah, 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 wah. Like I had to talk to team managers or CEOs for later on in jobs that I got later on in life where I'd adapted further in maybe the retail job that I was doing. So yeah, it was the process that I definitely, looking back, I'm grateful that I went through. Because now obviously I'm grateful for how I'm living, but I just think back and think, you know, if I continued with the other lifestyle that I was living, I probably wouldn't even be here today still.
And like, even for me, when I was changing, boy, it was difficult, you know, bro. Like, because first it was getting a job. Because when I decided, you know, this is long, obviously I wasn't working because I was going college, this, that, the other. But then I was doing the personal training for a quick minute.
Yeah.
That flopped. That lasted like 6 months. And then it was back to looking for a job again. And then I didn't find one for about maybe 9 months. So it was that time where like you're just at home applying for jobs. And you're just starting to think, yo, I want to put one foot back in, you know,
Just dip that
just
toe
dip a
back
toe
into
back
the-
in. But
Yeah.
then you got to think, nah. I got to make mum proud, auntie proud, this, that, the other. And then, as I said, it was a logic reason. Like, I don't want to go prison or I don't want to die, this, that, the other. So I think at around that time as well, I saw one or two people that I knew that had kind of passed. And that invincibility kind of complex that I had kind of dissipated a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely had that.
So that's terrible, man.
I literally thought I could beat up anybody.
I still do. I still do. So it's terrible.
It's true. It's
terrible.
still in me.
Yeah, man.
But the way it's controlled now through that evolution and adaptation is tamed. So I don't walk around now thinking, yeah, I'm the man, as much as I might think I am. And that's the difference as well. And moving on, I wanted to ask you, like, what do you do when you have mandem or brethrens that haven't made that adaptation or transition yet? Because it's like, obviously we're sitting here now from a point of view saying, yeah, we've made that transition. But I can also sit here and say, yo, I've got brethrens that are still doing their thing, and that light bulb moment hasn't come for them yet. So, you know, I don't judge them in any different way, but at the same time, I slightly feel that, yo, my life is different to yours. Like, and I'm not on that stuff no more. And I'm trying to disassociate myself with that stuff. But at the same time, you're my boy. I've known you for like 15, 20 years. So how do you cope with that balance? Just put man on the spot. But yeah.
Yeah, that's
What do you
that's a question, you know. It's a difficult one. It's one that when I was younger, I found quite hard. So what I'd done was I completely disappeared.
You disappeared.
I just disappeared.
Yeah.
Because I knew that it's just unneeded influence. Especially when I was looking for work, this, that, the other. I didn't want to keep going there and chilling with mandem in the estate, this and that, and then thinking, yeah, you know what?
Getting caught in crossfires.
Yeah, so I just totally distanced myself and I said, you know what? When I'm a bit more stable, then I can come back and start kind of reintegrating myself back with the mandem.
Because the line is thin as well.
It is.
Where you're trying to do yourself and put yourself on the straight and narrow, and you're seeing man mashing mad peas, and you're like, should I really be doing the proper thing?
And these times I'm looking at them mashing peas, this, that, the other, and I'm thinking, I'm broke right now. I'm broke.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad broke. That's looking appealing, but I'm on a different path now. Like, I've made a decision. In the long run, I know it will pay off. So that's kind of where my head was at, kind of back then. And when I kind of got myself back together, working, a bit more stable and work, that's when I started, you know, like, hitting up the mandem, you know.
Because you were in a safe place then.
Yeah. And I know I'm now in a space where I ain't even trying to jeopardize that over bullshit. But like, even now to this day, I still know some men that are still doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Can't, you know, each to their own. We talk, try and tell them, you know, try and do a different thing. Some do listen, some don't. But again, each to their own. But for me, like, as you said, I've known some of my boys 15, 20 years. I love them. It's hard to completely cut them out, but the space that they have in my life is very different to what it used to be. So it wouldn't be a thing of like, yeah, I'll just walk to the block and whoever's there, I'll chill there for 5 hours doing nothing. Like, don't do that no more. Like, maybe if, you know, I'm passing through and I see them, like, yeah, I might chill for like 10 minutes, this, the other, catch up and then keep it stepping. And that's pretty much where our relationship is.
I can relate to that.
Is that, yeah, man. So how is it with you? Is it the same or?
Yeah, I mean, I've got men that are still doing stuff that I don't condone.
Mm,
And me in a former life would have condoned it.
mm,
So that's where I have to look at myself as well and say, yo, like, although you don't condone this now, there was a time that you did.
mm.
And then it goes further where I look at myself and say, yo, not everyone has the same moment of truth as you do. So that explaining that I had where I woke up and I went to Hatton and I just dashed all my shit,
Mm.
that was my moment. And what I had to realize is that I can't judge other people for not having their moment. Because to me, obviously, the way that I live now, I love it. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't look over my shoulder when I hear loud bangs or people stepping on crisp packets.
It's
I'm
a
not
good feeling.
jumping.
It's a good feeling.
Do you get what I'm saying? So looking back and looking at my life now, I'm so happy for the way that it turned around. But like I said, I can't be judgmental to men that I've known 15, 20 years, like yourself, that I love,
Mm.
and judge them for what they feel is the right thing at the end of the day. Yeah, and that's the way that I look at it now, is that, they're doing what they feel is best for them, and I'm doing what I feel is best for me. But obviously, the proximity in terms of how close we are is different to how it used to be. So yeah, that's just how I deal with it. Keep them at arm's length,
Yeah.
basically.
But then I suppose, what's the reception from them towards you? Have they kind of changed that energy in a negative way or positive?
That's a good question, to be honest. On some hands, they know me at the end of the day, and they know I was one of them. Do
Mm.
you understand? So when they see me now, I don't think it's looking at me in a term of like, he's gone to the good side. I think, if anything, they more look at me as a good example of someone that has made that transition. Um, yeah, that's what I'd like to think anyway. Rather than looking at me and thinking, "Raw, man's a goody two shoes now." Like,
Yeah.
so
I f-
yeah.
I mean, I think for me, it's pretty much the same. I think like a lot of my boys that knew me way back when and know me now, it's a lot of like, yo, you're doing your thing now. Like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
you're changed. You've calmed down.
Yeah,
This, the
yeah, yeah,
other.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that, man. And you know what? At first, it actually used to get on my nerves. Because especially like my aunt, she always used to say like, "Oh, I'm really proud of you," like, because she used to call it my status back then. I was like, let's call a spade, man, but cool, whatever. But I used to get on my nerves. But then I think with reflection, I now start looking at it for what it is and thinking, well, actually, I have made leaps and bounds. I can't lie. And I think the one thing that I think is the greatest measure of it is, I think I said on the first episode, I'm a 9 to 5er. So from the people I used to mix with before is a lot different that I see. I mix with, a plethora of different people, have friendships with different people that I wouldn't have before. Back then, it was normally people that looked like you and I, or if they didn't, they pretty much kind of grew up around us and were kind of influenced in that way. But now I kind of have different pockets of friends. And I think the greatest measure is like, I could tell them 1-2 stories and they'd be like, nah, that's not you. What? No. What?
Yeah. You're just Joey, mate.
Nah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What? Nah, you're the guy at the desk just busting jokes. Nah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest measure of kind of how I've shifted.
And the growth.
Yeah. And now I see it for what it is. I kind of pause and kind of take stock and think, right, yeah, I kind of am doing my thing,
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what you have to look at the end of the day is, boy, me personally, when I look at my life before, I'm grateful to be here, to be
Mm.
honest. When I think about some of the madnesses that I have been through, I'm actually grateful to still be on earth at 36 because there's man that I know that didn't even make it to my age. Didn't even make it to 30. So, yeah, that transition, I think for myself, it happened at just the right time. And I'm grateful for it because of who I've become as well. I've become a more rounded person. So I can talk to the man from the roads. I can talk to business owners. I can talk to CEOs. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that has come with stepping out of just that one lifestyle where you can open your life out like you have as well and kind of broaden your horizons with different types of people as well.
It's true, word. And like when you was talking about lifestyle and that, you see, obviously we went through a status, as my aunt calls it, a phase where man had their chest out. We thought we were invincible, this, that, the other. You think there's an expiry date? Do you think there's a clock on it, further of all?
Boy. Yeah, this is a good one to close.
Because certain man are doing it now, and they're our age.
Oh well, yeah.
And this is new for them.
Boy, does it have an expiry date?
They're like 6 months into this now that we was doing way back when. So it's like, what? Is there like a clock or like how does it work?
Yeah. I mean, when you put it like that, for me there was, luckily, for you there was, but I don't know, blood. That's you've stumped me there. Because boy, like you said, there's man doing this stuff now that are almost 40. And you gotta, for me, you gotta look at yourself and say, yo, like, when does it end? But that's just me still. So yeah, does it have an expiry date? Boy, if I was to put an actual age on it, I would say, boy, light braids after like 24, you shouldn't even be bothering anymore still.
Boy, I don't even know if there's
what do you think? Expiry date?
I don't know.
If you were to put an age on it where you say, bruv, you should be done with this passer by now.
Do you know what, yeah? For you to like randomly be like that, something like mad has to have happened to you that just makes you just flip one day. Like John Wick. Actually, John Wick's dog died, but obviously, but there
had reason.
No, but there was sentiment behind that, you know, to the wife and that. So if, I don't know, something like that happens and you flip and then you're just this new, you're Lengman Michael now, I kind of get it. But if you're kind of doing it to Peacock, it's like, do you really need to be doing that in your mid-20s, 30s, this, that, the other? Just leave it out, mate.
Some guys know, but yeah. I guess that's the open-ended question. Something that we can throw out to the people as well is, do you think the roadman lifestyle has an expiry date? So yeah, hit us up in the comments and that below and let us know. But yeah, it's been an interesting one, Joey, still.
Yeah, it's been a little deep one, you know.
It's been a little
memory lane.
Deepers and that, but yeah. As usual, people, hit us up, like, subscribe, do the damn thing. I've been the Realist one, Jay.
This has been Joey.
And that's another episode of the Realist Debates. Bang.